thyroid hormone is one that is synthesized and secreted by the thyroid gland. Okay, and so remember from our discussion on the pituitary gland, right? The release of thyroid hormone is that the anterior pituitary is going to release thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. So TSH is going to target the thyroid gland, which is then going to release thyroid hormone. Okay? Now, if you recall from a little bit of anatomy, you'll remember that the thyroid gland is made up of these follicles, right? And that follicle is lined by an epithelium. Okay. And then inside of here, you have this colloid material. Okay, and this, inside of this follicle, is where the thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, are stored. So there are large quantities of this hormone present, which is kind of unique within the system, is that we make a whole bunch of it and then we store it, right? And so its production is a little bit more complex. So what I want to do is I'm just going to draw one of these follicular cells. I'm going to draw one of these follicular cells really big, like this. Erase that over there. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to say that our blood is down here. Okay. And then up here in blue, this is going to be our lumen up here, right? So remember, this is the lumen here, okay? And so now that we have our blood and our lumen, right, what we're going to do is we are going to take and we're going to put some iodide in here. Okay, so iodide is transported to the thyroid gland because it's taken up by the intestines, transported in the blood, and then it's going to come over through and it's going to basically pass through the follicular cell and end up in the lumen here. Okay? So also present in the lumen is a molecule known as thyroglobulin. So I'm going to put my thyroglobulin here. Okay, and on that thyroglobulin, there is a molecule, or an amino acid, tyrosine. Okay, so iodine is going to bind to that tyrosine molecule, and this can take two iodine molecules, or it could take one, right? So if it takes one iodide, it is monoiodotyrosine. If it takes two, it is diiodotyrosine. Okay, so when iodine binds to the tyrosine on that thyroglobulin molecule, right, it is transported into the follicular cell. So what we end up with inside of the follicular cell are these tyrosines that have iodine attached to them. And I'm going to draw 4 just for the sake of my argument here. Okay. And I'll draw 1 on that one and 2 on the rest. So 1 monoiodothyronine and 3 iodothyronine, sorry. These can combine, but you always have to have a diiodothyronine, okay? So what you can end up with is, so if we combine these, like so, we end up with, on the left here, a total of 3 iodine molecules, which is triiodothyronine, or T3. And then over here on the right, we end up with 4 iodide molecules, which is tetraiodothyronine, or T4. And these are sort of the active forms of the hormone itself. Okay, and so these are then attached to our little thyroglobulin molecule. All right, so then what happens is that they are secreted into the blood, but this thyroglobulin molecule is left behind, and what you get is just your sort of hormone. Now, right, remember that this is lipid soluble, right? So can it be transported in the blood by itself? No, it can't be transported by itself, so it needs to be attached to something else. So it can attach to albumin, right? Or it can attach to something known as TBG, right? Which is thyroxine binding globulin. And that can help transport this thyroid hormone inside of the blood, and then it's going to be taken off to its target tissue. Now, thyroid hormone has a wide variety of target tissues. It's involved in a lot of things, but essentially, right, if we go back up here to our overall pathway, we'll say it targets multiple cells, right? Multiple different cell types. And when it targets those multiple different cells, what it's going to do is increase metabolism of those cells, right? So it's very highly involved in sort of basal metabolism, right? Overall metabolism of the cells. And remember, metabolism is the total of all of the chemical reactions taking place inside of the cell, but it increases the rate of metabolism. And so one of the most prominent mechanisms of action that's been shown is that it increases oxygen uptake by the cells, right? And that's going to help increase the overall metabolism. So the thyroid hormones are highly involved in metabolic processes.